really love how you guys highlighted not only JV's story, but also the mental health aspect of it. I want to start with JV. Why was it so important for you to incorporate that story? Because I noticed throughout the film, it's kind of like in between little snippets. Like, tell me about that process.
So JV's story came to us. He's a young Marine from San Antonio. That's our hometown. And so being there to showcase, where Marines come from and showing his experience in Afghanistan. And when the footage came home, it really just blew my mind to see it for the first time. And I knew his story had to be told. So you get to experience who he is, that young charisma, and he shows you behind the scenes of what's going on, a young Latino in Afghanistan. Unfortunately, when he doesn't come home, that's when the story unfolds into the present day with the PTSD and TBI and a lot of the issues that veterans are dealing with. So it's important to show so that audiences can immerse themselves in what was going on in Afghanistan, and then to be able to show what's going on today so that they can understand what our veterans are going through, and we can bring more understanding and empathy for these veterans here at home.
Yeah, definitely. And like I mentioned earlier, I like the mental health aspect, but also the brotherhood that they created. How was that like for you on set, being able to experience that and like experience just seeing what they built just firsthand?
Well, it's an honor for me because they've made me kind of one of their own. I spent so much time with them, and I think that's what allowed for these real authentic voices to come out. Many of these times when these guys are speaking about what they went through, it's the first time that they've ever talked about that. And here's a brother that they haven't seen in 10 years. And so they just get this opportunity to emote for the first time with someone who can understand them. And being there to capture that and being part of that moment was very special, and I think it was cathartic for all of us for a variety of, what we go through as humans here in humanity. Our film is about relationships. It is set in the background of war, but it's ultimately about those human connections, and that's where that brotherhood comes in. Is that when you're going to combat, you're with people that are willing to die for you. And so when you come home and you don't have that same experience, it's really tough to make meaning of what you just had when you're in these life and death situations. And so when they come home, they're yearning for that. And so to be able to reconnect them, that's what we want to show to our audience, is that healing can happen through these reconnection moments. And we want all veterans to be able to come out from isolation and be inspired by the men that you see in this film to reach out to one another so that they can find healing of their own.
Yeah, I definitely love that. I love how you emphasize on humanity in that relationship, because definitely I think that's something that we need more than ever right now. And I want to talk about the ending. I like how you ended it off with JV. It's an end. It shows his personality. It kind of leaves you with this like feeling of, I don't even know how to explain it. It wasn't sad, but it was kind of heartwarming a little bit. How did you know that's the clip that you wanted to end this film with?
Well, when I first got the footage, it was in a format that you couldn't just immediately watch, so I had to convert it, and that's when we were really exposed to what was truly there, and I was just blown away, like I said before. And so that scene that opens the film and the ones that ends the film, we always knew that those were going to be the kind of the outside of the project, and we needed to figure out what was going to happen in between that. No matter if it was a 5-minute cut, a 10-minute cut, or the feature itself, that was always the bookends of the project. And so when you first see him, you see a guy who's going to introduce you to his world. Now, what was really important for us is that you find out what happens to JV early on, so that audiences weren't going to be let down in the second act. And so by doing that, we were able to live with JV throughout the entire project, and he never dies. He lives with us forever. And at the end, when he says, "I'll talk to y'all later," that's when we know that one day we'll see him again. And he lives forever within all of us. And for all the veterans out there, he lets us know that he's here with us, and it's for us to keep going in life.
Yeah, definitely. I love that so much. Well, thank you so much for stopping by, chatting with us. It was so nice meeting you, and you have a great day. Thank you so much. Thank you.